It's the final episode of Breakfast Central for this week, and the date is already sounding like salary is around the corner. So we're getting to the end of the month. So congratulations to all the workers, and thank you to everyone who has joined us this morning and joined us all through the week. I am Olive MOD.
And I am Osaogie Ogbawa. For those of us who work for the passion, not because of the salary. What's the problem? We work for the passion, and not because of the pay that comes with it.
HR, please delay his salary. Let's test his passion.
For those of us, just like myself and Lekon, who's going to be joining us with news headlines, we'd like to say good morning to you also. We hope that you enjoyed the next 2 hours with us. And of course, remember that you can join the conversation at any point during the show this morning. You could also tweet at us this morning at News Central TV. Welcome to Breakfast Central on a Friday. Lekon Nabanjo is joining us for Breakfast Headlines. Good morning, Lekon.
Good morning to you, Osaogie. Good morning to you, Olive. Immediately, Olive mentioned that statement. I was like, women and money. Wow.
Wow. They have made this thing a gender thing.
Well, passion is the goal, all right?
Absolutely.
Getting better on the job is the goal.
HR, please take notes that Lekon and Osaogie's salaries need to be delayed. If possible, given to me, I will do.
Oh, come on. That's going too far now.
No. Since you are working for the passion will buy your electricity band bill, and passion will fuel your car in this fuel scarcity era.
But you know that money fuels the passion.
So you are saying the same thing with me. Money fuels passion. I agree with you. I'm very passionate about my job. It's why I wake up very early in the morning to get here and talk about some of the biggest stories, even though some of them are quite interesting and the others are very heartbreaking. Lekon, we'll come to you shortly to bring us breakfast headlines.
Welcome to the headlines on Breakfast Central. We start by telling you that Nigeria's southern state of Ondo, where a former Deputy Governor Ajayi Agboola has emerged as the candidate of the People's Democratic Party for the November governorship election in the state. Agboola polled 264 votes to defeat his closest rival, a former member of the House of Representatives, Kolade Akinjo, who got 157 votes at the party's primary held on Wednesday. Meanwhile, the stage seems set for the two former deputies of the late Rotimi Akeredolu to slug it out in the November 16 governorship election. This follows the conclusion of the primary election of both APC and the PDP, with Agboola Ajayi, the former deputy governor to late Governor Akeredolu, emerging as the flag bearer of the party, as well as Lucky Aiyedatiwa, the incumbent governor of Ondo State, also a former deputy to late Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, emerging as the candidate of the ruling party in the state. Recall that Agboola dumped the APC in 2020 following impeachment moves against him. Now, a total of 14 fleeing inmates of the Suleja Medium Security Custodial Center in Niger State have been recaptured so far. A downpour on Wednesday night had caused severe damage to the custodial center's infrastructure, including a breach in the perimeter fence, allowing inmates to flee. Spokesperson for the Federal Capital Territory Command of the Nigerian Correctional Service, Adamu Duza, said security operatives are combing neighboring communities to find the remaining fleeing inmates. In the meantime, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has announced that the recent fuel scarcity in some parts of the country has been resolved. According to NNPC, the issue stemmed from logistical challenges which they have now addressed. Moving on now, the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria has criticized Nigeria's federal government for the hike in electricity tariff, despite the hardship being witnessed by Nigerians. According to the union, the government failed to engage with Nigerians before increasing the cost of electricity as provided by law. Let's now take you to East Africa, where the Kenyan President, William Ruto, convened an emergency multi-agency meeting as death toll from flash floods in the capital, Nairobi, rose to 13. Responding to the crisis on Thursday after torrential rains triggered floods that caused chaos across the city, blocking roads and bridges and engulfing homes in slum districts, President Ruto emphasized the importance of being proactive in terms of intervention to floods. And that's all on Breakfast Headlines. It's now back to Olive and Osa.
Thank you very much. Of course, very interesting stories there. The jailbreak in Suleja. I mean, you almost cannot blame them. If you look at the facility, the correctional facility we're talking about here, it didn't look fit for human beings. I've seen some of the pictures, that emerged from it, and it honestly didn't look fit for human habitation. So I almost cannot blame anyone who decides that, they want better for themselves. I mean, this is, of course, a correctional facility that houses some really, really hardened criminals. But just look at the state of that facility. And it's a shame. It's a complete shame, on everyone who, of course, continues to see that place like that and turns their face the other way.
Yeah, of course. When you talk about jailbreaks, there's always stories behind them. But then when you talk about a facility that is meant to hold, of course, convicts, you probably want to ask yourself, where is it being situated? Is it periodically refurbished? Because we know people will have houses and they'll have to do some bit of, a check on the house and try as much as possible to keep it well maintained to ensure that it is fortified. So in this case, you probably want to ask, where is it situated? Is it well cared for to ensure that there are no loopholes and there are no, spaces in between, whether there's a catastrophic or man-made issue coming up around that area to ensure that it is fortified? So it's one of those things that we also need to look at.
Yeah.
I mean, when we talk about our prisons in Nigeria, they're oftentimes referred to as correctional facilities, but they don't live up to that name, the name of correctional facilities. It's expected that a number of these prisons serve as a point where these people are not just corrected but rehabilitated so that when they leave, they're able to be reintegrated into the society. But what we have is a system that makes them even more hardened because yes, we know that, you see it in the movies, we know that prisons already have gangs within them. But it's worse when people can't even get the basics. They can't have decent food to eat. They can't have a decent place to sleep. At least the ones in the West, they'll tell you that they have decent beds, even if it's just like bunk beds, two in a room in some of the movies. And because movies are a reflection of what reality is. But we need to do a deeper look into our correctional facilities and rehabilitation systems and to ensure that we don't have situations where people are deprived of their right to bail. Because if you know Nnamdi Kanu, one of the reasons why he was deprived, according to the judge, is because she couldn't trust the prison system and the correctional facilities. We can't keep having jailbreaks. They need to look into it, increase the security, and then work on the quality of the correctional facilities. Thank you, Lekon, for joining us this morning. We'll see you again.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right, we'll still bring more stories this morning. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we're starting off with our top stories this morning. Nigeria's federal government says that it has set an annual target of creating about 2.5 million jobs annually for citizens. This was made known by the Ministry of Labour and Employment in Abuja as it met with development partners, saying it intends to focus more on youth empowerment and skill acquisition initiatives. Our correspondent, Marvelous Obumanu, files this report.
In attendance are senior officials of the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment and international development partners. Those present expressed their commitment to improving the lives of citizens by tackling poverty and unemployment.
Because if you look at the past, the ministry has been really much on the sidelines, hasn't done enough, I feel, for the labour and employment sector. So the fact that this initiative has even been created and the energy that I am seeing around this initiative and people willing to drive it, I think we will start seeing some really impressive changes, especially it's in line with Mr. President's goals of driving is 6 points of his 8 initiatives. So I think we will see some real change.
Officials from the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment also gave assurances that it will tackle current unemployment challenges, seeking to create about 2.5 million jobs annually.
The breakdown and the way we intend to do this is to do this directly and indirectly, not just going directly and creating these jobs by ourselves. We hope to do it through the people we empower, through the people we train. If we are doing the digital skills initiative, which basically looks to equip and empower people with digital skills, digital marketing, data analysis, and the rest of it. The global remote work is something that can scale a whole lot because you can sit down here in Nigeria and provide services for organizations in Nigeria and outside of Nigeria. We are facing it in per quarter, right? Because we want to do it on a quarterly basis, and we are looking to do this 500,000 per quarter. Yes, directly and indirectly.
It's very doable. So it's obviously just creating the workforce that can help support the driver initiative. So I think it's very doable. Whether it's going to be done in a year, who knows? Maybe 6 months, maybe 2 years.
We are not going to take our jobs lightly, and we are not going to look at people who believe that they are occupying space. Shift, you will not shift. Produce, you will not produce. So we are going to see a lot of changes, and there are going to be sanctions for people who are not delivering on their mandates.
The World Bank says the current poverty rate rose from 40% in 2018 to about 46% in 2024. It adds that this has increased the number of poor people in the country from 79 million to 104 million persons. To reduce the current unemployment rate in Nigeria, the Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment has promised to give 2.5 million Nigerians jobs yearly, directly or indirectly, and this is approximately about 208,000 jobs every month. Many Nigerians will be eager to see how this pans out in the coming months. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Oboman.
Pretty interesting there, but of course, maybe it's a good time to remind us that in 2014, the Buhari administration promised 3 million jobs a year. But of course, our unemployment levels grew magnanimously. That's, the right word to use. So we maybe should be focusing on creating enabling environments for businesses, small-scale businesses to thrive, and, jobs will somehow naturally just occur. Electricity, for example, simple things like that. Anyway, following a growing exodus of hugely experienced doctors leaving the United Kingdom, the National Health Service and other places to work in other countries in search of better life, there have been calls for medical doctors trained in the UK with taxpayers' money to be compelled to give back to their country before seeking greener pastures. According to reports, about 15,000 NHS doctors leave the UK every year for better climes, and of course, giving opportunities to Nigerian doctors to be recruited into the system. Joining us now on Breakfast Central is Abbas Tijani, who's a social commentator, is joining us from the United States. Good morning. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Abbas.
Joining you from the United Kingdom.
Good to have you. Pretty shocking, hearing that, there's people leaving the UK. The average Nigerian expects that is the, when they're talking about greener pastures for work, that is where everybody wants to go. So help us understand why anyone is leaving the UK and looking for greener pastures anywhere else.
Well, green is the standard color, but then the spectrum of green is quite wide. So it could be light green, it could be deep green. The United Kingdom is one of the most expensive places to live in the world. And this phenomenon, this movement of not just doctors, skilled workers from the UK has been a trend increasingly since the pandemic. They've been lured, particularly by countries like Australia, Germany, and other European countries where the cost of living is much lower. So people are paying half the normally paying UK for the cost of living, and they've been lured by salaries twice of what they are currently getting here. It's a no-brainer, and it's a global trend. As we see it happening from Nigeria to the UK and other parts, it's now happening from the UK to other parts of the world. It's a global trend.
And so, so what are some of these countries that people are, choosing to move to? And is this is this something that should benefit, Nigerians who are looking for greener? Is the UK then opening up for Nigerians or having more job opportunities for Nigerians who, are looking for places to move to?
Well, just to let you know, there are, after the end of last year, there are 12,198 licensed Nigerian doctors in the United Kingdom. And then if you balance that against the backdrop of less than 50,000 registered doctors in Nigeria for a population of 220 million, we are having a major crisis in Nigeria. Now, as regards those doctors coming to the UK, a lot come in. How many stay after 5 years? It just comes down to the same problem. You asked about the countries, these countries that are recruiting. The Gulf region is very, very popular. Qatar, Dubai, and Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia. Australia is a very, very lucrative zone. And then come down to Europe, Germany. Just before Brexit, the end of Brexit, would you know, the Britons living in Germany who are eligible for a German passport only decided to take up German nationality on the eve of Brexit. And they did that because it was clear to see the UK is struggling, with Brexit, cost of living crisis, it's getting worse. They actually, just like they do in Nigeria when they want to recruit our nurses, doctors, our teachers, they work with agencies who come to Nigeria and advertise on Nigerian TV, Nigerian newspapers. Now we have countries across Europe and Australia now advertising on UK TV, on UK media, attracting, trained, highly skilled professionals. So it's an increasing trend. What do we get when there's a cost of them? Usually, like when the naira bumps up or when the naira goes low, what you get is a lot of Nigerians coming to the UK, trying to lure Nigerians here, who have more disposable cash to come and build homes in Nigeria. It is the same mentality, so to say, in terms of labor as well. So Germany, the Gulf areas, Australia, popular zones right now where they're recruiting.
All right. What is the reality of this for the UK? Prior to this time, we had seen that there are a number of people who live in the UK, and maybe in London particularly, that would complain about the difficulty with which it would take them to access services with the NHS. So what does this new information, what reality does it present for the people living in the UK?
Well, the NHS is the jewel in the crown. The NHS is one of the most powerful and most prestigious institutions in the world. You live in the UK, you don't have to pay for your health services. Grants that against what for like health services. So it clearly is an issue right now. If the major practitioners, the doctors, are leaving, 90,000 have left just last year. 90,000 left, and balanced it against 66,000 just during the pandemic. Now, as they leave, they need to recruit. And where do they come to? They come to Africa. They come to Nigeria. They go to the West Indies. If they don't feel that gap, the NHS feels the pressure. When the NHS feels the pressure, that filters down to the people. The current Prime Minister, has made a 5-point promises, one of which is, kind of to reduce inflation, and increase employment, stop the interest rate. It's quite far from that. As we speak, getting worse. The UK is terribly expensive. Don't even talk about London, And in your last news report, you were talking about prisons in the West. Trust me, you don't want to see the status of prison in the West these days.
So if they're going to have to come to Africa to fill in the gap of the number of people who are looking for greener pastures, does this then say that regardless of how high the cost of living in the UK is for these medical professionals, that is still a better reality compared to what they are experiencing in Nigeria? Or would you say that what they have in Nigeria is a much better reality than what they will encounter in the UK?
Well, don't forget that United Kingdom has a long relationship with Nigeria. Former colonial masters, that relationship has, outside of Nigeria, perhaps the city with the most Nigerians outside of Nigeria is London. So that relationship is there. So there's a natural, inclination to want to look towards the United Kingdom for the average Nigerian. But I advise many, if they have any other option, to look elsewhere. Especially those who have skilled labor. There's recruitment going on across the world right now. There are Nigerians in medicine, the doctors working across the world. Saudi Arabia. Why is the UK attractive though? The language, the language makes it easy. Thriving Nigerian communities across the United Kingdom. So it's kind of like home away from home. I describe London as the state of Nigeria, as the capital. Coming to London, the Nigerian, you feel at home. But those communities are now being right across the world. So if you are in Nigeria and you are looking to leave, to emigrate, it's perhaps better to, do your research, look towards other zones of the world. The United Kingdom is quite tough. That's right.
Yeah. What do you think would happen in the next, couple of years? What we see is that, they create new immigration policies to fix whatever challenges that they seem to be facing. If they realize that there's a brain drain, they need more hands, they open up, the immigration policies, have more black people flood the place, not just blacks, from other places to do jobs that their citizens wouldn't even touch. And so sometimes that might even sound insulting, looking at the number of people who are having to do those care jobs in the UK to earn, £20 an hour, maybe £14 an hour. But do you think that this trend will continue? Will they just, have to keep taking advantage of, the Nigerians and, of course, people from third world countries who are looking for greener pastures? Will they continue to adjust their immigration policies in the next couple of years to fill up these spaces?
The immigration policy changes every day. And that change is premised on prevailing circumstances.
Yeah. So
the change is a constant. It happens all the time. And that's why, there are people who want to come to the UK. They go online and onto .gov UK to read what's happening. And then in 2 days' time, you realize this change again because they follow the numbers and they need to keep filling those gaps. Now, would we blame the United Kingdom for reaching out? Hey, every nation takes care of itself. Every nation does what it takes to, to make things happen. And your environment always determines what you do. And that is what I would like Nigerian environment to also take note. Tonight, policymakers in Nigeria to look at the environment and make it work. I do know in Nigeria, it was the last year, and there was a motion that was also moved, for medical practitioners who have schooled in Nigeria to at least, almost like an indenture to spend 5 years before they leave, and there was a lot of, clamor against that medical community. Just like when Nigel Farage made that video that went viral yesterday, it's like you can't compel people. Everybody wants the best for them. That's human nature. What government owes its people is the environment. And what the British government do, just to make sure that the NHS lives as close as possible to its undertakings, is to keep trying to build that. And they'll go everywhere. That's what any nation that wants to develop and have help its people, that's what they do. So we need to be doing that on the other hand in Nigeria as well. One really cannot knock the UK for trying to do that. That's life.
Absolutely. I mean, every country, I agree with the part where you said every country needs to look out for itself, when making these policies. Sometimes Nigeria may not be doing that, but, it is what it is. Talk a little bit about the United States proper. Do we expect that, that we might see easing of the immigration policies at some point to maybe accept more people, coming over there to work?
Well, election year is just around the corner.
Yeah.
So if Donald Trump comes in, nobody knows what's going to happen. He's quite anti-immigration. But the United States, as a country, is a nation that has always welcomed immigrants from across the world. Obviously, they have a challenge with the neighboring countries, where the countries kind of border the country where it's harder to control. But the United States generally has always welcomed. But, and notably, Nigerians have been ranked as some of the highest immigrants in the United States. So you would always get tweets here and there from time to time. But essentially, America welcomes them immigrants, particularly the highest.
All right. We keep following with the updates in these different countries and looking at exactly how it can impact our country here in Nigeria. Thank you very much, Abbas Tijani, for joining us. We know that it's so very early hours of the morning, so thank you for sacrificing the time.
I'm going to send my invoice.
You'll be waiting. Thank you very much for sacrificing the time to be with us.
So much.
All right, very interesting updates there regarding the UK and what the situation is regarding brain drain. We are also experiencing a lot of brain drain here in Nigeria with our medical professionals, and we see that that's one of the challenges that the health sector, of course, has to deal with. But we'll keep following up with this. We're going to break. When we come back, we have more conversations to look at this morning. Stay with us.
Welcome once again. Nigeria's House of Representatives Joint Committee on Environment, Climate Change, Petroleum Upstream and Petroleum Downstream have begun its investigation on the impact of oil production in oil-producing communities. The probe, according to the House, is aimed at addressing the concerns of environmental degradation raised by host communities. Idong Joseph reports.
Crude oil exploration began in Nigeria's Niger Delta region in 1958. However, while this has brought prosperity to the nation, it has come with attendant challenges of underdevelopment and poor environmental management. In an effort to correct the mistakes of the past, Nigeria's House of Representatives Joint Committee on Environment, Climate Change and Petroleum has commenced investigation into the effects of oil production on oil-producing communities.
We have to listen to the fears that are faced by the frontline communities, indigenous people, and marginalized groups who usually bear the brunt of environmental injustice.
Despite the laws and regulations enacted to safeguard our environment and the regulatory agencies of the government to establish to address these concerns, the environmental damage in oil-producing communities still persists unabated. It is therefore incumbent on us, as representatives of the people, to identify the erring organizations, hold those responsible, accountable, and take decisive action to mitigate the living condition of our communities.
35 oil-producing companies were invited. However, only 4 attended the hearing. The committee frowned at their absence, condemning their attitude, saying this poses a danger to communities in their zone of operations.
Even the caliber of those who are here today, I also think that the chief executives of the companies should also be here. Let us engage each other and agree on the way forward, because 2050 is roughly how many? 26 years away from this year and also. And if we don't do something, I can assure you, what happened in Dubai will be a child's play.
The committee agreed to send summons to the chief executive officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Chevron Nigerian Limited, Total Energies, and several others. It adjourned its sitting to make the aid to continue its investigation on the effects of oil production on the environment. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Thank you very much, Idong Joseph, for that update. Now, moving on to other stories. The former Deputy Governor of Ondo State, Agboola Ajayi, has emerged as a candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, for the November governorship election in Ondo State. Agboola, a former deputy governor during the first tenure of the late Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, trounced 6 other aspirants to get the PDP's ticket, having polled 264 votes at the party's primary on Thursday, beating his closest rival, a former member of the House of Representatives, Kolade Akinjo, who got 157 votes.
Now, recall that Mr. Ajayi joined the PDP after leaving the APC following what was termed irreconcilable differences with the late Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, who, of course, was the APC governor at that time. But, of course, he eventually later dumped the PDP and joined the Zenith Labour Party to contest the 2020 governorship election and emerged the party's candidate, but lost to late Governor Rotimi Akeredolu in 2020. Now, declaring Ajayi the winner of the election, the chairman of the committee said that 621 voters were accredited, 619 valid votes, and while 2 votes, of course, I'll take that again, 622 voters were accredited, 619 valid votes were counted, while 2 votes were invalid. Adding that Ajayi, having scored the highest votes, became the candidate of the party in the November 16 governorship election in the state. Now, joining us is Mr. Agboola Ajayi. He's the PDP governorship candidate in Ondo State. He, of course, will be joining us in a bit to have this conversation and share, his thoughts on winning the PDP candidate and also his plans for Ondo State. But we have currently the PDP's Publicity Secretary, Kennedy Peretier, joining us. Good morning, and thanks for your time.
Good morning, and thanks for having me this morning on this program.
Let's go ahead and talk about, Agboola Ajayi and his win yesterday. What does this mean for the PDP? There's people who have, tagged the election the battle of the deputy governors. The PDP, of course, choosing and, of course, through voting yesterday, Agboola Ajayi. Is this, in any way something that the party should be excited about?
Well, two reasons why the party should be excited about it. One, because our opponent did not have the privilege of a credible, free, and fair primaries. You are aware they are in Abuja even yesterday. They're still battling with that. So we had a very transparent and credible process that has thrown up our candidate. So we had reason to be happy about that. One. Two, we also have to be happy about it because we are talking about a man who has experience, who has learned the ropes of politics and governance. So the Ondo State people already know him as the deputy governor. They already know him when he was chair of local government. They already know him when he was a member of the House of Representatives. So we are talking about a man with a lot of experience. So he has come to this contest with a lot of experience. And that is where our strength is. And especially because there is not one of the other contestants who has raised an eyebrow about the process. Yep. It was covered live. The men were there, and everybody saw everything that happened. So those are the reasons for which we should be excited about the outcome.
Yeah, there currently be no complaints, from the other candidates. Like you said, it seems to have been a very free and fair process, for his emergence. But, aside, the fact that you said his experience, people are going to question once again the irreconcilable differences that he had with, late Governor Rotimi Akeredolu. So can you shed a little more light on that? What were the challenges back then? We hope that we can speak with him so he can also, address this directly. But what were their challenges back then, and how do you think that this might also affect him politically in Ondo State?
Well, traditionally as an African, we don't normally talk about the disease. So I will not want to go too much into that. But the only thing I would say is that a lot of people were worried when the incumbent governor started having problems with Akeredolu when he was deputy governor. And the questions were, look, he said Agboola Ajayi was not good.
All right, seems that we have network challenges with him, but we hope that he can join the conversation. But now we'll be bringing the man of the moment, who has just, of course, won the party primaries. We have Mr. Agboola Alfred Ajayi, the PDP governorship candidate for Ondo State. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the show. I think the first thing will be to say congratulations on winning your party's ticket and being the official flag bearer for the People's Democratic Party.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers. Good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning. All right. Haven't been in government before. I mean, you did serve as the deputy governor of Ondo State before. There are, people who wonder what exactly it is that you're bringing that is a different flavor to governance this time, if you are able to win the gubernatorial elections in Ondo State.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me. Once again, I thank you for this audience. You said it, having been in government is something that, to me, is a passion, and I want to also give back to the society. I've seen it all. I've been a ward chairman, I've been a secretary of the party, I've been a supervisory councillor, I've been council chairman twice, member House of Rep, deputy governor. Even governor I've acted many times. So I have clear vision of how to develop on those things, how to transform and make a difference if the people of Ondo State give me the chance. And I'm sure they already made up my mind. If you look around since yesterday, the jubilation everywhere, both APC, PDP, everybody are interested who will be their next governor. We can't continue with this and expect a different result.
Yeah, you just mentioned that you have a clear picture of what what is required to develop Ondo State. You were deputy governor until, of course, 2020, yes, when there was the falling out with late Rotimi Akeredolu. So, were those plans that you speak of now, were they not, was it difficult passing them through the governor at that time? And also, can you shed a little more light, yes, on the differences that you had with the late governor with the fears that this might also affect your chances going forward?
Well, thank you. The office of a deputy governor is different from the governor's seat himself. Yes, I was a deputy governor deputizing the governor, and if you look at the Constitution of Nigeria, it's very clear. The deputy governor can only perform any function assigned to him by his boss. So that's answered the first question that you answered. But again, the little I could do when I was deputy governor, I tried, and everybody around in those states, I've seen my impact, they know my capacity, they know what the stuff I'm made of. But coming to the question of the crisis between me and my late boss, I don't like to discuss somebody who's not alive again. He's not alive, and we should allow the man to rest. Whatever happened between me and him, between the governor and myself, my late governor and myself, is something that we should put behind us, and the state should move forward. I don't want to go back to that stage.
Yeah, it's not necessarily. I mean, I agree that he's not.
The chances of whether.
Yeah, I agree that he's not here to defend himself. And of course, with respect to him and his family, we don't necessarily want to, go too deep. But it's really about, what your chances are going forward. There's people who would argue that he already set up a political structure in Ondo State, and that is what the people of Ondo State and the politics in Ondo State is leaning towards. So do you think that, that political structure will somehow favor you? Do you think it exists and it will favor you?
Oh, yeah. Let me quickly remind you that the person who's going to be the governor of Ondo State is not only PDP governor, neither is going to be the APC governor. See, in other words, everybody are interested who will be the next governor of Ondo State. Those who are in APC are much interested who PDP was going to pick yesterday. And so when the APC were to conduct their primary tour, all of us in the PDP too, we were also keenly interested in the person that will probably emerge from APC. But we thank God it has played out. So the states can now make their choice. And in terms of structure, I've said it all. Everybody in those states knows who is Agbo. They may not know the real Agboola, but when you want to mention Agbo, it's a household name, and people have confidence in me. The character is there, and I'm going to deliver, and I won't disappoint anybody.
What do you say
the structure is there, and it's going to give me favorably.
What do you say those who criticize your earlier move to the Zenith Labour Party in 2020? Some have accused you of dividing the party in 2020, and they worry that you might...
That is destiny, so... That is destiny. That's anything that you cannot help in your life. Those things are gone, and we put behind us, and the party has moved on. You also see the result yesterday. It doesn't really have anything to do with party structure and how the victory of the party in the next election.
How would you rate?
PDP are determined, or those people are determined to.
All right. So sorry to interject. I wanted to ask you how you would rate the current administration so far. I mean, the current time of Governor Aiyedatiwa. It's been some months of him stepping in to wrap up the administration of late Governor Rotimi Akeredolu. How would you say he has fared so far?
Well, Governor Aiyedatiwa is a friend. As a matter of fact, he called me last night. Unfortunately, I missed his call. Just to call. So all of us, we are friends. So I don't want to go into it. Is too early for us to start rating 2 months government. But on those states, Idigin are assessing the government and performance of every individual. At the appropriate time, we'll come out and tell you what we felt about them and the assessment and what they must have done wrong. We also say it. It's not only me, everybody are watching. So nobody can dance naked in the masquerade market that you think they will not see you. It's clear. So people are watching, and they would only take a decision that will favor the state.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing you stated that there's no bad blood between yourself and Governor Aiyedatiwa. Like you said, he spoke to you last night.
Not at all.
Okay, that's important, because Nigerians are looking and hoping for peaceful. At least the people of Ondo State need peaceful elections. But I want to, once again, I ask. You've made mention, that.
Let me quickly say something, and that's the aspect I want to really emphasize. whatever thing is happening today in Ondo State is strange to Ondo State. Anytime we are conducting primary election, people go around, laugh, jubilate. But what we saw last week was really embarrassing. Gunshots, crisis everywhere. You need to come another day and watch the PDP primary election. The system was transparent, democracy was in place, and everybody was happy. So that is the trend.
So are you saying that the APC as a party... Are you saying that the APC as a party brought that level of violence to Ondo State?
Of course, it is not to everybody in the country, not only in Ondo State. It's worrisome, and they should stop disturbing the peace of Ondo State. Yeah, but the party has a guideline, and they should play according to the rules of the party. Their constitution should be obeyed, and that's exactly what the PDP has done, and make us a different party.
Yeah, I mean, but you were a member of the APC for, until you stepped out in 2020. So, have you always known that this is the nature of the APC?
Well, maybe that was part of why I left, so you can't even say about that. Okay. It's a freedom of association, so I can, that's answer that.
Okay, I want to ask a little bit further. You've mentioned, how the people of Ondo State know your character. They know your, pedigree and how far you've come through the different stages of your political career. You've also been in the House of Reps. I think you're also a member of the NDDC team in the House of Reps. But I want to ask...
No, not just a member, I was a chairman.
Chairman, I beg your pardon. Yeah, chairman. Yeah, I beg your pardon. But I want to ask, in what specific things, can the people of Ondo State point to that your presence, your representation has brought for them as indigenous of Ondo State?
Well, thank you, my brother. And I can say this without missing word. In the history of Ilaje's S.L. Odo, nobody, no member House of Rep has impacted more than what I've done when I was a member House of Rep. I didn't really impacted in my local government and the constituency alone. As a matter of fact, the entire Ondo South. You are aware that for the past 15 years, we are in darkness in Ondo South. The only hope we have right now, that project was initiated by me. That is the 132 kVA substation of Tipa. And I've said this severally, nobody could come and say, it's a lie. And that one was initiated by me. We thank God today, the project is almost completed. It started long ago when I was a member of Rep. I was the person who actually initiated that project in NDDC budget that time. Again, when we were in the House of Rep, when I was chairman of House Committee, there is this road, there is this concept that we should construct a road from Calabar to Lagos. I'm sure the federal government is trying to do something about the coastal road now. But we look at the bid, I said, okay, this might be too much. Why can't we take it from Warri to Ogoye, then Ogoye to Ugbo, to connect the road that the Tekago was constructing to Lagos. And to the glory of God, everybody in Ilaje Seldo knew my impact. I was able to influence a road contract. As at that time, that project was the biggest in the history of NDDC. At that time, it was around 32 billion naira project, Ugbo project. And population was paid. Unfortunately, our people could not manage it, and the contract was abandoned. So also the reclamation of Aiyedatiwa. Anytime I go to Nigeria, I'm always a sad person because there's no life there. No life, and some of us feel that we are from this environment. This is the area where everybody can naturally emancipate ourselves economically. So you need to ask the people in SLD Ilaje, of Ondo South, that how has this guy impacted into their life when he was in the House of Rep? I don't want to go into human capacity, empowerment. I did so much, a lot, and that's probably what.
All right, you probably should. You probably should. With all due respect, because what you've stated now is electricity for Ondo South. That you said is still in the works. You, of course, facilitated, that process many years ago, but, you didn't confirm that they now have steady electricity. And then you spoke about, you know, the coastal road that is being done by, or that was meant to be, you know, done, you know, by the NDDC, 32 billion naira, which you stated now that was abandoned somehow, you know, in the process. You know, so it still has not been delivered to the people of Ondo State. So I mean, you didn't state clearly, you know, at least 2-3 specific things, you know, that you use to improve on the quality of life of the people of Ondo State and the people that you represented in healthcare, in education, in security, in infrastructure, human capital development, improving on the quality of life, maternal and infant mortality.
Well, I've just said it. Unfortunately, in Nigeria context, we just misplaced the parity of legislators. You understand?
Yeah.
But again, I can say this to you. You need to go to my local government, go to my constituency. We have good network road everywhere in the local government. Those projects, my problem will be completed when I was there. Of course, I couldn't have spent more than the first 4 years, and I was not given opportunity to cover for the second time. So also, the instability in the system did not really also encourage some of these things, because when somebody leaves office, it's expected that the next person will start from where he stopped, but it's not usually the case. The Okitipa light, the Okitipa 102 kVA light substation, of course, NDDs has been following it up, and I'm sure any minute from now the light will be on. It's a very sad event that a whole district, Ondo South, has been in darkness for more than 12 years. But I'm sure any minute from now, the light will be on everywhere, continue to enjoy. Because we look at it that. Go ahead.
All right. As the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, yeah, I can hear you, sir. I hope you can hear us as well. As a candidate of the People's Democratic Party, if you win the elections, what would you say? I mean, you did say that you understand what it takes to revive the economy of Ondo State. If you do win the elections, what are the first, maybe top 3 things you will do for the people of Ondo State? And at what point can the people hold you to account? Should we say maybe the first 100 days? At what point can they then start to ask questions?
Well, let me tell you, the primary objection of every government is to make sure that you secure lives and property. First, I can assure you, if I'm governor of Ondo State, life will be secured, and we understand what is going on right now in terms of kidnapping here and there. I've said this in one of my campaigns that I was part of those who established Amateku in Ondo State to strengthen the security, internal security of Ondo State. And I also look at it that we can do it better. If I'm governor of Ondo State, people should expect, and I said what they call, forest guard to complement the Amatekus. And so that our farmers can go to a farm and farm without being fear, without being kidnapped, and without being, molested. So we will strengthen this President Amateku, create a unit called the Forest Guard, and strengthen them very well in terms of infrastructure, construct roads for them, so that they can have good network in our farms and bushes and forests. So that's about security. In terms of economic emancipation, I've said it. I'm from the Riverine area of Ondo State. If we want to actually unlock Ondo State potential, the first thing for us is to construct infrastructure that can really transform the Riverine area. Once you do that, my brother, you will discongest Lagos State completely. The money will move to Ondo State, and everybody will become clearing and forwarding agent. Business will, everybody will be busy. So I have the clear vision to develop Ondo State and to also turn it place to economy-based states without necessarily looking for federal government allocation every month.
All right, sir. So how soon can...
And once all these things are in place...
How soon after you get into office do you think that you'd be able to achieve this? And how soon can the people start to ask questions? What is the time frame you can give the people of Ondo State?
Well, if I assume office as governor, I wouldn't want to say after 3 months, 100 days in office. Those are mentality that does not actually give a product, doesn't really give any meaningful meaning. Of course, my first day in office, people will know that there is action. Government has come, Politics has come, and they will continue to play it. After 1 year, if there is no impact, people should criticize in a constructive manner and ask questions. That's the essence of democracy.
Okay, so we have the 1 year time frame, and then we hope that a number of these will be achieved.
I didn't say I will wait till 1 year. Just get me that. I didn't say I'm going to wait till 1 year. I said the moment I assume office, the first day I start working. But in 1 year, people will come out and assess the government.
Yeah. All right. You, of course, ceased being in the government house in 2020. Can you give us, ideas on what has happened for you politically since then till now?
I mean, it's okay. I thank God for my life, and God has been too kind to me. I started from nowhere, from the scratch, and today I become a household name in Ondo State. As a matter of fact, in Nigeria, you are talking to me because you are not even in Ondo State. You must have somebody who is bearing Agboola Ajayi. So his life has been so smooth. It doesn't really have any much impact. I still stay in the midst of the people, eat and dine with them every day. So that makes me more qualified than any other person who is in this race. I live with them. I know their problems. We eat together, we eat together, we do everything together. So I am part of Ondo State, and I'm still in Ondo State. As I'm speaking with you, I'm in Akure, the state capital. If I leave here, I'll go to my village and come back. So I understand the terrain very, very well.
And what happens, if the people of Ondo State choose different? Would you, of course, still be present and willing to serve in any capacity?
I can assure you they're not the best. I can assure you they know the best, and they will not choose wrongly. They will know who come. They know all of us. They know our capacity. It's a test of rewards, and I'm sure they will definitely give back to society.
All right, my final question.
They won't settle for the less. We can't load the bar. Go ahead, please.
My final question, you've just said that Ondo people know they won't settle for less, and by less I would assume that you mean other candidates. You did mention at the beginning of this interview that you have a very good relationship with Governor Aiyedatiwa. So what is it about the PDP? What do you have over the APC that makes you the party to beat at the elections?
Well, the difference between PDP and APC is what all of us are saying now. We all go to the same market, you and I. It wasn't like this in the past. People are also assessing the government. They're also looking at what is the trend of events in the country. It's not different what's happening. As a matter of fact, it's even worse here. It's like I don't want to say much. Like I said, Aiyedatiwa, Governor Aiyedatiwa is a friend. So that does not take away that.
Why should the people of Ondo? Why should the people of Ondo choose you over Governor Aiyedatiwa?
It's because they will definitely choose the best among the two of us, and I'm sure they will choose him because they know that the capacity is in me. I've been with them, I've served them, and they know what I can do. I will definitely deliver. They have confidence in me. They have confidence in me that this guy can actually deliver. My sister, you need to go and contest an election from councillor, from ward chairman, for House of Rep, the deputy governor. You will know what I'm talking about.
All right.
It's not a joke. In Ondo State here, we do respect everybody. I hardly see anybody who have my political credentials who started from what level to this level, to a deputy governor, the governorship candidate, my brother, my sister.
If you do get into office,
you can go and buy a form and try it and see what's going to happen.
If you do get, well, for now, I do not have such interest, but I wish you all the best. And if you do get in office, I'm hoping that the credentials, the very robust credentials that you have, and the promises that you made will be translated to improving the lives of the people of Ondo State, and that we can have you back again to talk about your journey so far. Thank you very much.
Take that one for granted. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Agboola,
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
PDP gubernatorial candidate for Ondo State.
Thank you.
We're reviewing the papers now, and we'll be opening the phone lines as well. Remember that you can call the numbers to call if you'd like to react to any of the stories, to contribute, or share your experiences. The numbers to call are on your TV screen. Joining us this morning to review the papers is public affairs analyst Razak Olokoba. Good morning.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers at home.
Good to have you. All right, let's get to our first paper for today. The first paper is this Nigerian newspaper, and on the front page of this Nigerian newspaper, TUC carpets federal government on unilateral hike in electricity tariff. Tariff, I beg your pardon, decries exclusion of organized labor in review, implementation of Oronsayen's report. And we haven't heard of Oronsayen's report in a while. There was a lot of dust. They said they needed 3 months to apply it, right? I should check back to find out if it's up to 3 months now. Jailbreak, 106 inmates still at large, 13 recaptured. Federal government considers relocating Suleja Correctional Facility. Just look at that picture of what exactly a correctional facility in Niger State looks like. Like Osage said when we started the show, it doesn't look like a place that is fit for people to live in. Ganduje, North Central APC stakeholders demand resignation. Nigerians to pay more for telecom services as MTN, Airtel, Glo, Mall tariff hike. Okwama, Reps Committee commences probe into killing of soldiers, raising Delta community. Nigeria's lithium to power Europe's clean energy needs, says Tinubu. Are you seeing? Our lithium is powering Europe's clean energy needs. Very interesting. All right, let's start with the jailbreak story because that's the biggest one here. 106 inmates still at large, 13 recaptured. What does this mean? How does this reflect our correctional facilities? And if we have 106 jail prisoners still at large, what does this mean for us?
The process of getting attention for things at the federal level, the bureaucracy is killing. I know very well that the people in charge will have written for maintenance and it's not getting there on time. And that is why what Aregbe said one time ago that state should come and take care of their own prisoner. That's a good thing. And also the things federal government is holding to itself, like the resources that belongs to the state, should also be returned back to the state. So it's not only the liability you return, you must also return the assets. So I'm for anything that can make our prison look better because, like you call it, correctional facility. Most often time, people go there and get worse than they were going in, and that's not good for the country. It's punitive and it's also correctional. But in the case of Nigeria, it's only punitive only. And that punitive also damages the capacity of the person that is going there not to recover and become a better person when it's coming out. And that's why there are instances when we go to prison as civil society activists, human rights activists, to look at the condition at which they are living in. And our observation is, which we also express to government, our observation is that you are damaging the souls of people who are coming here. You are not helping them at all. And it is time for all of us to pay attention to it in unison. Small crimes that people commit, like small 6 months, 1 year, and by the time it comes out, you have a network of criminals at his disposal, and you become another one being entirely. So it's good now that some of these things are coming to the fore because before they will bury it, they will not allow people to hear about it. We should do everything we can do to make sure we get those people that escape back into custody because it's a danger. Some of them are half-life, some of them are having their sentence hanging on their neck, and they are among regular people. That's a danger.
Out there to commit more trouble. Let's look at another story there. Ganduje, North Central APC stakeholders demand resignation. This looks like we're just going in circles again with this Ganduje story.
APC is taking a lot of risk. Since APC came on board, they have become the biggest opposition to themselves. I like APC, but the internal crisis is too much. Look at Ondo. Nobody is running after them in Ondo State too. It's APC that's running after APC. Now look at Ghana. You're national chairman and you are not doing anything about it. You can't use some internal mechanism that you normally use when you have crisis of this nature. And you are watching it go down the drain. You know, that's the careless nature of PDP too, when they were in power. So the seemingly arrogant nature of APC, they have to call themselves to order. The fact that you are in president, you are the incumbent power, that's an incipient crack from the national chairman. If it's from an official, okay, that's good. So, PDP at times also behave as if they are under a spell. This is a very good opportunity for them to continue to consolidate. They have to put the question of who is going to be the leader aside quickly and start talking to members that because there will be fallout from all of this. There will be fallout. Ganduje, these followers of Ganduje, if they didn't handle it very well, some of them will say that we can't treat our leader like this. And the decision you might take, Ganduje might have capacity to prevail on it. So this is a moment for PDP to brace up, Labour to brace up if you have a strong opposition. And that is why the political class need to stop distracting us. What we need is governance. We need to resolve the power challenges we have, the security challenges. Are you talking about state police, the educational sector? So this is time to talk about governance. We do of talking about police every day on our airlines.
All right, let's hold on and take a call from Chidi. We have Chidi calling from Lagos. Good morning, Chidi. Thank you for calling. Please go ahead with your comments.
Good morning. Yeah, I want to talk on the prison breakout. It's shit every time we hear of this prison being breakout, these people leaving the prison. Stuff like that. I think we don't have personnel guiding that prison. Nigeria has spent a lot of money for these people to be taken care of and for this facility to be taken care of. And when we hear that people break out of the prison because of one excuse, and we cannot account on how these things took place, it's something that Nigeria should sit down to ask a lot of questions. By now, we should be talking of all the people in charge of that place to resign or to be sacked, because if this occurrence cannot be happening, because now we are talking of insecurity, and 106 are out there right now. They don't even know where they are about those people. So what are you telling the average Nigerian out there? Our lives are not secure. If they cannot secure, they should resign. Let these people resign. They should hold them accountable. People should start paying for the negligence of their duties. They should start paying for it so that Nigeria person, a common man, can sleep and wake up in a good side. That's just my take this morning.
All right.
Yeah.
Nigeria.
All right, but I think it's also fair to mention, the prison break didn't happen because the prison was attacked. It was from rain, I think really heavy rain.
Yeah, so it's not, it's not negligence at all. Yeah. The guys will have written, I know the nature of how fights move in, particularly at the federal,
the challenge here
they
is
will have written, nothing will be done about it. So if you investigate, you won't hold the guys there responsible again, because you will have written that this is not too good for us. So at the end of the day, you will investigate. And it will give you evidence.
Really get to the bottom of the matter.
And you will know, because they want to hold them as a scapegoat. But when the guy in charge start talking now, they say, okay. So they bury the matter. Because if it keeps going, it will get to the Minister of Interior eventually. Yeah. And then want to pass the buck that I did my bit too. National Assembly called the budget too. So what do I do? So it's a rigmarole. So that's why we're saying that internal affairs issues of this nature, defense, foreign affairs, currency control, should be at the purview of the federal government. The whole question of who's going to secure Lagos, Nasarawa, it's not the business of Tinubu. It's the business of the governor. Then give the governor the instrument to secure the state police, do a legislation. So then criminals that are convicted, that belong to state, don't take them to federal facility again. Take them to your state, build your own prison. There's a legislation that's preventing that also. Yeah. So there's no direction we look at. You won't come back to also talk about the way we structure this country is a big challenge. Yeah. So it's not the officer most of the time. It's not the officer.
No, I mean, it's definitely, like you said, bureaucracy issues. But these are things that have been in this same state for the last at least 2 decades.
How can rain pull down the fence of a prison? So it should be impenetrable. The way you should structure a prison, if you look at the movies you watch these days, in fact, it's like escape should be out of your mind. But a prison come down and you have this number out already. So then you begin to think about, so that means they are not even secured in any at all. Yeah.
All right. So let's move away from this Nigerian.
Let's move to another newspaper. I think the Tribune or the Daily Trust, the Punch newspapers. It says there, Forex, MTN, Glo, others seek NCC nod for tariff hike. Telcos risk shutdown without tariff increase to offset rising costs. And also operators await NCC approval as regulator reviews tariff bans and operating costs. 4 million UTME candidates not admitted in 4 years, says an investigation. Senate panel seeks extension of 30 trillion naira loans probe. NNPC blames logistics for worsening fuel queues. And also dollar demand pushes naira to 1,420. Akeredolu's ex-deputy Ajayi wins Ondo PDP ticket. Ondo State, mother electrocuted, 2 children hospitalized. Of course, we spoke about the prisons already, but it's once again on the screen. 108 inmates flee a Niger State prison. Let's get your thoughts on Agboola Ajayi's emergence as the PDP candidate in Ondo State, and also the dollar now climbing back to 1,420 naira after celebrating for 2 days.
The artificial growth of the naira.
Yeah,
it looks like now.
No, it's not artificial. The PDP will not go to sleep. We said it the last time we came here, that they won't go to sleep. They will strategizing, and they will bring out their strongest candidate. And for this guy to have a match, that's a danger for the entire political space in Ondo State. It's completely convoluted now. There's going to be a serious contest in Ondo State, and that's why the two parties must be serious. The guy that just became the APC candidate now, so he has not consolidated enough, which shows in the primaries, 15 people against him. So now, the emergence of this guy now shows clearly that APC has a lot of work to do in Ondo State, and that's why it is important for the two parties to appear serious to Nigerians. The two parties the PDP must carry on now as if they are serious opposition. And the AP should also roll out, in the few months that is there now, is roll out program of consolidation. It needs to bring everybody on board. The time for, he didn't want me to become the governor. That's gone. That's gone. You are the governor already. So there's need for harmony. In all of that, what should be paramount in our mind is governance.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that it seems like all of the conversations they have is all politics.
It's governance. Salary must be paid. The road must be good. Healthcare must be attended to. The security challenges in Ondo State must be attended to. We don't have to replace governance and policy for governance. And that has to do with me and you. You have to keep directing them back to governance. That the little time we have before election comes, tell us if you have the capacity to govern the state by your policies, by the program you are going to be implementing. And for the dollar, can I quickly say something about that?
Yeah, sure.
See, in Yoruba, they say, Karo Somodi, Karo di Maso. They say that don't just be naked. Either the clothes you want to wear is inner or outer. Just wear clothes and cover your nakedness. Financial experts use a way of concocting some languages to say that this money belongs to. When Obasanjo was there, you use our capital to pay debt. And capital, you don't use your capital to pay debt. It's profit you use to pay debt. But this time around, we have a bigger challenge, more than the question of paying debt, which is survival. We are a country that survives on importation of things. If it is what to import it here, we are reading, we import it. So you can't remove dollar from your transaction in terms of exchange rate, what you buy and things like that. So, and the government is there to rescue the situation. Wherever the money will come from, it needs to sort it out.
Even if the money comes from external reserves, even though they've said it doesn't come from...
That's what external reserves is for. External reserves is not for decoration. It's not to boast to Kenya and South Africa that you have reserves.
But they said it didn't come from there now.
It's to... Well, that's why I'm saying that no matter the direction it comes from, that moment we need it. Things are getting out of hand before that rescue. And I know that it's going to fluctuate and come back, before the stability. When a crime becomes internationalized, this is what you are going to see. The transaction of our currency, the dollar thing, it's not only local dimension. There are external factors that are benefiting from the calamity and woe that we are passing through as a nation. So they won't go to sleep. They won't just give up like that. They will be assertive. They will resist it. It's only when they see how serious you are, that's when they will back up. But at the moment, we are going to see more of this. Naira is going to rebound. It's going to come back before it's going to stabilize. I told you that we are passing through a gestation period. And every policy is experimental. So if this method is not free, they will come up with another method. I know of that. And the guy there now is an accountant. That's the edict that these guys have, that they understand the theory.
The other
Once
one
you have an accountant as a president, you know that this type of challenges is going to curb it. If he's a lawyer now, you'll be ready to obey so many laws, even laws that are not supposed to legislate between wife and husband. They'll be law about it. So, boy, this is this is an accountant. Everything is going to come down to profit. The recurring decimal is profit. Is profit. So it's going to sort. I don't have any fear on this matter. On other issues, I might be skeptical. But when it comes to matters like this, it's going to sort it out. Look at the financial model in Lagos today. Lagos is less than 1,000 square kilometers of miles. The smallest in the whole of Nigeria. 25 million people are living there as a result of a financial model. In the next,
what's the financial model?
In the next of it kept doing business with everything. It kept coming up with the plan for Lagos is to make sure that it accommodates more people as you come in. In another 10 years, you may hit 100 million in Lagos. So all these bungalows will go. It's going to be high rising. So
that's not necessarily a sustainable plan or even a habitable plan for people. But what I'm asking is, what's the financial plan? What is that financial plan for Lagos that has been in place?
One of it is that to make sure that commerce in Lagos is the atmosphere is one of the simplest in the state in Nigeria. You come to Lagos, you put you up for business, you survive. That's not the case in other states. So whatever it is, and look at it on infrastructure, the Fourth Mainland Bridge, all the roads that's meant for road construction has been consumed for road construction. So the sick alternative, which is road, train, and bridges. And that's what informed the Fourth Mainland. That was everybody had. There's a plan for it that when Fourth Mainland Bridge is coming, the Ikorodu Road will be expanded, which Achoola did. He was supposed to do his own portion in Lekki axis to expand the road, and the stop it was doing something else. I mean, everybody was working. No, there's a plan. You can't be planning to build a 100-story building. Someone will come and say, no, I will abandon it and do something else. There's a coastal road that leads to Benin. The transaction that goes in and come out of Lagos through that axis is heavy. And that is why easy access, that was what Fashola had in mind. That was what the people of Lagos had in mind. That was what Tinubu had in mind when they put that in place, that coastal road, there must be international transaction between Benin Republic, that's Cotonou, and Lagos. And you agree with me that if you have a very good road network between Lagos and Cotonou, and instead of going to Berger to buy your vehicle, you can easily go there and buy your vehicle and bring it in. That's foreign transaction. So in essence, what I'm saying is that the man there today is an accountant. I have no fear about what dollar is doing. It's a resistance, okay. And market force will sort it out.
This market force, we're hoping will sort it out when they floated the naira, that the forces of demand and supply would, find the balance soon, and
but you know what it
kept getting worse and worse until we almost hit 1,900.
But now it's coming down. There will be fluctuation. It will fluctuate.
For how long?
It will fluctuate. It will fluctuate, and that's going to be the pattern until to come back to maybe 200 naira. No, you have to be hopeful.
Okay.
Be hopeful.
All right.
And be hopeful. Just be hopeful.
Renewed hope.
It's good to have hope.
The challenge with some of these things is
our final paper.
It's just a reminder that Nigerians don't have time.
Exactly. Before the thing will come back, how many people's lives are hanging on the balance right now?
Bear the brunt for these, different experiments.
The truth is that
okay.
It's a pace. And when Obasanjo was there, this was the attitude from Nigerians. We started borrowing to placate Nigerians. The anger also came up again during Jonathan's time. He was scared of the Nigerians' anger, started borrowing. I have told Asiwaju that be careful on policy you are going to embark on just because you want to impress Nigeria. Yes, people will be angry with you, but take your time to explain to people that there must be a period where all of us will pay prices.
But not all of us are paying prices. That's another. That's the problem. That's the problem Nigerians are having. Not everybody is paying price. They don't feel like the government is paying the price. But that's a conversation for another time. Let's quickly look through the last paper, the Nigerian Tribune. On the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, Damagum's loyalty to Wike's sinking PDP, Clark alleges. Asks PDP chair to explain why he did not visit Rivers over lawmakers' defection. UK supports Nigeria's fights against malaria with £1 billion. Police detain officers over Lautech shooting, confirms death of victim. Telecoms hint on hiking prices of data services. 119 inmates escape as rainstorm destroys Suleja Prison. Ex-Akeredolu's deputy to fly PDP ticket as Ganduje meets Aiyedatiwa, Jimo, others. Corruption, human rights killings, U.S. government report indicts federal government, judiciary, military, says 2023 poll reflected popular will, confirms party thugs attacked Obi supporters in Lagos. NNPC says logistics problems solved over fuel queues in Abuja, Nasarawa, others. Petrol sells for 730 naira per litre in Anambra. At the top of the paper, we have Coastal Road. Lagos residents, property owners kick against extension of right-of-way. Demolition of first 3 kilometer begins Saturday. Okwama, Reps Defense Committee receives 23 memoranda, promises to resolve Imbrogito. I can't see that very clearly. All right. Over 10,000 security agents mobilized as PDP, APC, Labour Party upbeat about Oyo local government elections. Government declares today half day for workers. Let's go and talk about the human rights report. The U.S. human rights report indicting the federal government, judiciary, and military. The report says 2023 poll reflected popular will, confirms party thugs attacked Obi supporters in Lagos. I'll have you react to that.
Obi?
Yeah, the report, the U.S. human rights report, that's 2023 poll reflected popular will and confirmed.
I took part in the election as an observer. And if you look at the report since the election has been holding, 1999, 2003, up until the last election, the one that we record violent incidents list is the last election. It's there. So, and at times, U.S. has a crisis of credibility when it comes to their impression about foreign policies these days. Look at the position they took on Iran and Israel and Palestine, and many other on Ukraine and Russia. So, as far as I'm concerned, I don't like the time frame that U.S. is giving this report. Close to a year. So, what do you have in mind when election is concluded over a year? And you're just bringing your report. And the local observers...
There was a report last year, do you remember?
What relevance?
No, so why is important?
There was a report.
There was a European Union Observers Commission report last year.
There was a duplication. It was a duplication because for us, the European, maybe they are in faction. The ones we worked with, we compare our results together, and they agree that, of course, this is the one that has the least incidents since 1999.
It's not. We're not doing Olympic election violence Olympics.
No, it's important.
What I'm saying is, there was a report that was released after the elections in 2023.
But it's important
that also pointed out these things back then. How relevant was it, and what did that?
If a child is not doing well in school and he kept improving, it's important to look at his past performances. So the performances of the agents, the election stakeholders, the police, INEC, the political parties, the performance, we have to examine it one after the other. Police incident in the election this time around, they fared well. If they didn't fare well,
so let's not.
I am not going to speak on the side of the police. You should know, we know as a woman activist.
Again,
therefore, the party, I mean, the INEC made sure that this time around, they did not try to plot them against the people. INEC tried to remove their hand. Which is not the case in the past.
Let's get something. They will take
side.
Apologies. Let me just share. The report isn't comparing
which one was
which is highest and which is least.
It is your duty to compare it.
No, it's not.
Once it comes out that it's violent, you now compare it.
No. It is our duty to. It is our duty to state that there was violence, there was intimidation, there was fraud, if possible, if available, in the electoral process. My duty is not to compare.
No, the instrument of analysis.
2003.
But
why I'm saying this is because...
If you want to analyze issues.
I get it. Why I'm saying this is because if you keep comparing, previous elections...
Whether you are improving or not.
It doesn't matter whether we're improving or not. It could matter, but the point is, in this particular election, the report says that there was violence, and there was voter intimidation, and there was tribalism.
And did the APC accept that report?
Whether it was worse than the one before or not, that's a different conversation entirely.
To say that there was no violence is an understatement. Of course there was violence. What I'm saying is that what was the mechanism deployed to make sure that there were reduction? And that's the mechanism we should work on. Beavers, we have to emphasize on beavers. Okay, what do you want to do with the question of improvement? You're not going to factor it in your analysis, which is wrong. You have to factor, are we improving or are we declining in terms of, because election consolidation, part of
what is most important in this whole conversation is how much did the violence affect the outcome of the elections? And that for me is what should be important to you. Do you have the person in office now that truly was chosen by the people? It was chosen by the people. That's what should be important. It's not what happened in 2003, what happened in 2011.
If you want to analyze issues, you can't come out verbatim and say that there's violence. You must first admit that there are violence. Okay, then you begin to isolate violence that comes from where?
But this is the best violence.
The political class. We have isolated the police, isolated INEC. Then we come back to political parties. So I'm coming to political parties. My conclusion is that all political parties should be held responsible. That's my conclusion about it.
All right. We'll come back to talk more about this, looking at this report. So why the European Union Observers Mission came up was because you said you didn't like the timeline of the US's report. So just to mention that there was a report earlier last year that was criticized by the current administration. But that's a conversation for another day. Thank you so much, Mr. Olokoba, for joining us. We look forward to having you again.
Thanks for your time.
All right. This is still Breakfast Central. We'll go on a very quick break. We'll come back and we have a little more before we'll call it a wrap. Welcome back. The Lagos State government has debunked reports claiming that Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has increased the minimum wage in the state to 70,000 naira. This was clarified by the Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Gbenga Omotosho, in a statement on Thursday, stating that the Lagos State government has not increased the minimum wage, contrary to the impression in some media reports which emanated from the unveiling of Eco Cares, the umbrella for the various interventions to protect the poor against the effects of the prevailing economic hardship. The governor was erroneously quoted.
Joining us now is Olabisi Adebayo Idowu, who is the Vice Chairman, NLC Lagos State Council. Good morning. Thanks for your time this morning.
Good morning.
Heartbreaking for those who, of course, were already celebrating the increment in minimum wage in Lagos State. Of course, I was always going to question how the state planned to afford it. But what are your thoughts? And of course, when this story broke, was it exciting for the NLC, or did you already know that that was a lie?
Actually, I have the information on ground. The only thing I can say about it, the Lagos State governor is a silent achiever and a good listener. Ever before the incident of subsidy removal, the Lagos State government has already done a very good job for Lagos State workers by giving them a 25% increase in their salary. And then, the governor is not in position to be telling people, I've done this, I've done that. But the workers are supposed to say so. But the emergency of removal of subsidies, understand, we call it a wage award, 35%, which he did immediately. And if you added that one alongside what they have been collecting for before that time, there's something will increase. But that one is for a period of time. We are still waiting for the increase in salary, and the negotiation is going on between the labor centers, the stakeholders in the country. They are still talking about that. But the governor just said, that's 2 days ago, that by the time the government increased the minimum, not minimum wage again, take home, that can satisfy you and I, then he will do more. That's what he said.
So what would you think would be the perfect figure for the minimum wage? There have been different suggestions. The Nigerian Labour Congress initially started with a figure ranging 6 figures, and there's been negotiations. I think they've come down from the initial 1 million ask that we're hearing. So what do you think would be an appropriate figure for the minimum wage?
Presently, we can't say anything because they are still discussing it. Actually, we have made a proposal to the federal government. They are talking about it. When we proposed about 700 and something before. If you look at it critically, 3,000 per head to a family of 6. We multiply it in a 3 square meal in a day. Can we get the analysis? What is it? What gave you? What's the result?
Sorry, let's do the math again.
3,000
Yeah.
per meal, 3 times in a day for a family of 6.
That's 9,000 per day. 9,000 times 6 will be 54.
Huh? How much?
54.
54.
Yeah,
Multiply
54,000.
the 30 days.
All right. Okay.
Tentatively.
Okay.
So when people heard about a 1 million, they thought it's much money. It's a small amount of money. If a senator or House of a Rep can go home with for a month, like a 60 million, 100 million, then we are not talking about an average Nigerian. We are talking about 1 million people are not crying. The federal government are crying. In fact, the governors are crying. It's not enough. We are not waiting for minimum wage again. Take home that can satisfy the family of 6.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, the reactions to that were, you know, that the NLC is not being realistic, you know, with their demands, you know, because the government, there are many states that even struggle to pay 30,000 naira minimum wage. Imagine them having to pay 600,000 naira minimum wage, almost impossible. And also the private sector is not just, you know, government. It's also, of course, private sector expected to pay the same thing. So what would your response be to, you know, those who say that you are being unrealistic and, you know, you probably need to, you know, have a rethink?
Well, I must tell you, we have taken all the variables or factors into consideration before we arrive at that figure. Am I communicating, sir? Yeah. If you look at it very well, what we are saying actually, we are looking at certain deficiencies as regards states in Nigeria. Yeah. We have taken all those things into consideration. Definitely, we believe certain states can pay it very well.
Certain states.
Yes. If you look at their resources and everything,
on the average, how many would you say can pay?
The states in Nigeria, Abi?
Yeah, on the average, how many states would you say can pay comfortably 600,000 naira minimum wage?
You know, let's be realistic. You too, you know. First of all, we take Lagos State as a case study, Port Harcourt, Kano, and the rest of them. Even though if you want to look at it critically, very few of them will not be able to pay this money you are talking about. Very few of them. And I want to say this one. The governors, they should be realistic. You know, there are certain money, they spend it just anyhow. If they want to pay salary for the workers, there will be problem. But if you want to siphon the money, there won't be any problem. That's what we are saying. Let's be realistic. Nigerians are, they are suffering seriously.
Do you think that the NLC has shown up for Nigerians, for Nigerian workers in the way that they should? Looking at it from the federal level, where there will be several calls for strikes, and then they're going to closed-door meeting, call off the strike. We see that happen over and over again. Do you think that the Nigerian workers have faith in the Nigerian Labour Congress, that they have their best interest at heart?
Hey, you know, many people will not know this. They may not know it. You see, in any given society, when an issue is at stake, you know, the federal government, they believe they are very clever. In other words, to give us a bad name before the populace. You know, before we go for any strike, we have 7 days ultimatum, 14 days ultimatum, and 21 days ultimatum. We are organized labor, and we follow the law to the latter before you see us in any action. And then we'll give them this ultimatum. But they will not wait till a day or some hours to the time. And then in any given society, we as an organized labor, Nigerian Labour Congress, we respect the law of the land.
We've run out of time. In 30 seconds,
okay.
Would you say that the government has a high regard for the Nigerian Labour Congress? Because what we've seen is you are calling for strike over and over for the same things without necessarily seeing any impact being done in that area. So do you think that the Labour, because the NLC, a lot of us grew up to know, was an NLC that was greatly feared by the government. Do you think that the NLC has such influence over the government?
I must tell you that very strongly. You know, they can't dare us. Let me tell you, the last time they did it, because we do respect the leadership, but they did it last time, they failed. They failed. We did not listen to them. And we went to that, they started calling all our veterans to appeal to us to do this. And then the kind of leadership we are having this time around, Comrade Ajayi, I want to tell you, nobody can dare him. Nobody.
I mean, he was physically attacked in Imo State, you know.
Yes.
I mean, that's the last that we heard of it. So when you say nobody can dare him.
Yes. You know, he can't fight for himself. You know, as a leader, you can't carry cutlass.
Yeah, I mean, what happened to that case? What happened to the people?
Well, that one is a bygone. We don't need to talk about that one now.
No, we can talk about it.
Why do you want to talk about it? It's a bygone.
It's not a bygone. If he was physically, assaulted by, fellow Nigerian citizens,
that was an insult
thugs
to
or
the
whoever,
NLC.
But you had what we did. You saw it, what we did when that thing happened. And I want to tell you now, say from many leaders in this country today, they rose up to that occasion to make sure they talk to us. And it's a kind of person that, it's a learned person.
So is it safe to say that they don't regard the NLC as much as they did before, for that to have even happened in the first place?
No, let me tell you something. In any given society, it's bound to happen. Anything can happen at any time, understand? And then when you are dealing with different kinds of people, different notions, they have a set of mind, it can happen to anybody at any time. It can happen. And you can, let me tell you something, it's a kind of person he doesn't collect any cheat from anybody. And when they have been trying to lure him, do this, do that, and he's not ready to play game, I must tell you, you can quote me anywhere. All right. Aidero is not ready to, to be bossed over.
Mr. Adebayo, another day we'll invite you to talk about the NLC and how some may have termed it a largely politicized organization, but that's a conversation for another day. Olabisi Adebayo, the Vice Chairman of the NLC Lagos State, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, sir.